Is Black Desert Online worth playing? The answer to that question is yes. Hello everyone, today we're going to be talking about Black Desert Online and why I think it's worth playing. So first of all, there's a couple things I want to get out of the way. The first point is Black Desert Online is a buy to play game. There is a one-time payment where you need to purchase the game in order to play it forever. However, there are events that happen around like 5 to 6 times a year where Black Desert Online is free to play. And if you hit certain requirements, you're able to keep the game for free. So in my case, that's how I got my copy of Black Desert Online. It was simply just make an account and play the game for more than 20 hours in the span of 2 or 3 weeks, and you got the game for free. But normally you would need to buy this game in order to play it. Okay, now with that out of the way, we will talk about the pros and cons. As usual, I don't want to bore you with just my face, so I will have some footage of me gathering in the background doing my life skilling stuff. However, do understand that I was lagging in the footage. My ping was like 800 ms, so just keep that in mind that I was lagging really badly. Anyway, pro number 1, Black Desert Online is an open world sandbox game. So there's tons of freedom. Basically, you create your character, and right when it's level 1, you're free to do whatever you want. You can go to the most endgame area, you can go to Star's End, go to Sakraya, go to like very high level stuff if you want at level 1. You will get your ass handed to you, but you have the freedom to do so. So since it is an open world sandbox game, it does not have a linear path. There is a storyline that you can sort of follow, but the storyline's not very clear cut. The story doesn't really make any sense to me, to be perfectly honest, but there is a storyline if you want to follow it, and I advise most people to follow it since it gives you a lot of rewards. Pro number 2 is there is no level cap. There is infinite progression. However, the scaling for the progression gets really ridiculous the higher level you get. So most people consider soft cap at level 61, and level 61 to 62 will probably take you a couple weeks to a couple months in order to get there, and then 62 to 63 is definitely a couple months, and 63 to 64 we're talking about like half a year. So the EXP requirement per level scales pretty insanely. So for most people, you're probably going to get to level 60, level 61, maybe 62, and you're probably going to be stuck there for quite some time. So even though there is no level cap and there's potentially infinite progression, most people actually stop at a certain point. Pro number 3 is the graphics are beautiful. Black Desert Online is one of those games which pride themselves on aesthetics. The game looks gorgeous, the world looks gorgeous, fighting and the special effects and everything just looks beautiful. The game is just 10 out of 10 beautiful. Which leads to point number 4, combat feels great. So if you're a graphics whore and you really like things to look really pretty, and you like to do a lot of PvE or a lot of PvP, you just like to do grinding, you like to kill stuff and fight things, then this game is looking pretty dang good. So pro number 5 is life skilling is very in-depth and rich. So let's say you don't like to PvE, you don't like to PvP, you don't like to kill things in general, and you just want to roleplay as a farmer or roleplay as a master chef. You can do that in this game because there's an entire different segment called life skilling, where it's literally just you skilling up a certain profession in order to make money and progress your character. Because life skilling, PvEing, PvPing, all of these things give you experience which allow you to progress your character. Pro number 6 is you can always find something to do in game. So Black Desert Online, since it is an open world game, you can just hop in, and let's say you've only got 10 minutes to play or 20 minutes to play before you gotta go somewhere, you'll always be able to find something to do. Maybe you do some life skilling, tend to your farms, maybe do some cooking, maybe do some processing, maybe go out and kill a couple mobs, maybe go do a little bit of PvPing. So there's plenty of things to do in the game, no matter how much time you have to invest into it. Pro number 7. This is a mixed bag, but Black Desert Online is mostly a solo experience. So when you go into Black Desert, most of the content that you're going to be doing it by yourself. It doesn't really encourage party play or playing with your friends or grinding together or life skilling together. It actually punishes you when you do that. So a lot of the content's going to be done solo. So why is this a pro? It's because you can play at your own pace. Let's say you log on and you just want to kill mobs today. you can do that. You don't need to wait for your friends. You don't need to convince your friends, hey, let's go kill mobs or do this or do that. You can do whatever you want the moment you log on. You don't gotta wait for nobody. You want to do bartering? Go ahead. You want to go farming? Go ahead. You want to do gathering? You can do that as well. So there is so much freedom and so much power in that. Just be able to log on and do what you want to do. So that is why I put it in the pro category. I will cover this subject when we go to the con category as well and talk about the downsides. Pro number 8 is the music in some areas are really good. So I know a lot of people, when they start up any MMO, the first thing they do is just turn off the BGM and then they just don't listen to any of the music or the background sounds. But in Black Desert, there are certain places where the music's actually really good. So maybe that's something that you guys care about, maybe you don't care about, but either way, I put it in the pro category. Pro number 9, progression feels permanent. So what do I mean by this? Simply means that I can go AFK for 3 months, 6 months without touching the game, come back, and then pick up exactly where I left off, but I won't feel like I fell behind the meta. And the reason for this is because Black Desert Online doesn't introduce any new gear very often. So the maximum gear you can currently get in the game is pen gear, and they have not raised the gear ceiling in a very, very long time simply because of how difficult it is to get there. And I'll talk about why it's so difficult in the con section. So pro number 10 is we just got the season servers not long ago on Black Desert Online, which has accelerated leveling, faster gear progression, and there's a lot of free stuff that you can get to catch up very, very quickly. And this is something that will stay in the game for quite some time. So I recommend, if you are a new player, just make a character on the season servers and play on the season servers because you'll benefit the most there, and you'll level up much quicker, you'll get gear much quicker, and you'll get a lot of free items in order to just accelerate your progress and just catch up to the veteran players much quicker. Pro number 11 is there's multiple ways to progress your character. So as I said before, you've got PvE, you've got PvP, you've got life skilling. So you've got many different avenues in order to progress your character. There's no one way to level up your character. If you like to PvP, you can just keep PvPing and you will level up. If you like PvEing and grinding, you can do that. And if you like life skilling, you can do that as well. So there's no one way to level. It's just do whatever you enjoy the most and you'll eventually level up. Obviously, there are ways to level up efficiently if that's something you want to focus on. But since Black Desert Online is a game, I do recommend most people to do what they enjoy doing and just enjoy the process instead of trying to aim for an end goal and then blasting through it to get to the end goal. But then again, that's just my personal preference. So pro number 12, the marketplace is regulated. This is a pro and a con, but let's talk about the pros first. So the pros about this is, since the market is regulated by an AI system, that means that certain prices of certain items cannot exceed a price ceiling. So whales and veterans in this game are not able to manipulate the market price since the marketplace is regulated. So that's the pro. Okay, so now let's talk about the cons. So let's talk about the marketplace first, since this is still fresh on our mind. So the cons of a regulated marketplace is, for certain items that are sought out, they may have hit the price ceiling already, and there is just so much demand, but the price ceiling has been hit. So that certain item cannot exceed the price ceiling and cannot be sold for more, even though there is a huge surge of demand. A good example of this would be the value pack that is sold on the NA and EU servers. I know the Southeast Asia servers do not have the value pack, but this item is sold on the market at 144 million, and this is the price ceiling. It cannot go higher than that. So even though players are willing to pay more silver for this item, the game does not allow the player to offer more silver in order to get that item. And the people who are selling the value packs are not able to sell it above 144 million. So that was an example of where a regulated marketplace may be a con, because there's a huge demand for this certain item, but unfortunately, since the item has already hit the price ceiling, you can't sell it for any more money. So con number 2 is Black Desert Online is extremely RNG dependent, which means that a lot of things basically feel like gambling. So as I said before in pro number 9, where progression feels permanent, the reason for that is because of the RNG. So in order to upgrade your armor or your weapon from Tet to pen, you're basically gambling a 4% success rate in order to get to the highest tier. So a lot of players are just going to stick with Tri gear or Tet gear because gambling for that single upgrade at a 4% success rate is really low, and it's not actually 4. I round it up, it's actually like 3.6 something percent, so it's very low chance in order to get the maxed out gear, which is why a lot of people just don't go for it, or they just spend a lot of time, like months and months on end, and just make a lot of money in order to attempt it, or they just straight up buy it off the market for billions of silver. So this brings us to con number 3, which is time investment is required for this game. Whether you're investing it passively or actively, it doesn't matter. Basically, the game incentivizes you to keep the game open at all times, whether you're sleeping, whether you're working, it doesn't matter. As long as you have the game open, then the game will reward you. And a lot of the systems in the game require you to keep your game open. An example would be when you're farming and you plant your crops. If you close the game and shut down your computer, wake up the next day, your crops will not have grown. Your crops will only grow when your character is online and you're actually in the game. You don't have to do anything in the game. You could be AFK fishing, you could just be AFKing, it doesn't matter, but it does require your computer to be on as well as having Black Desert Online open. So this is a huge con for a lot of people because you can definitely tell the ramp up in your electric bill because you're keeping your computer on 24 hours basically in order to maximize your gains in game. Another thing is it also feels like you're living a second life on Black Desert Online because of the time investment, all the grinding you need to do, all the processing, all the cooking. Everything takes time, so this may annoy some people which are used to instant gratification, but unfortunately in this game it's more of a grind, it's a marathon as a lot of people say, not a sprint. So con number 4 is, since the game is open world, there is no real end game. The player decides what the end game is. Since it's open world, there's no such thing as a last boss that you kill and you get a credit scene and you're done with the game. It doesn't exist. What you have to do as a player is you personally have to decide what your end game is. Are you going to be the richest person on the server? Do you want to get a Carrack pirate ship? Do you want to be a master chef? Do you want to be the #1 adventurer? There's so many different goals that you have to set out for yourself, and that is what your end game is. And of course, your end game can always change at any given time since you, the player, are the one dictating what your end game is. Con number 5 is the lack of PvE dungeons and raids. So unfortunately, this game does not have any PvE dungeons and any raids. There are world bosses that come up which can be sort of pseudo raids, but it's pretty much a big monster pops up, everyone groups up together, you DPS the monster, it dies, and you pick up the loot. And that is pretty much world bosses in a nutshell. So there are no dungeons, there are no raids, there are no mechanics in a lot of the things. All of the farming and the grinding is done open world. So you could be casually farming your own spot and some guy could run along and start killing your mobs and stealing your spot. And that leads up to the next con, which is there is open world PvP. Open world PvP is active at all times. There are only specific servers where open world PvP is deactivated, which are the starter servers, the Olvia servers, and I believe the season servers also don't have PvP enabled, but this is something that you may love or you may hate. In the con side is, if you're casually farming and you are on a weaker character, if a stronger character comes in, they can kill you and steal your spot, and you're kind of screwed because your character is weak. However, on the flip side, if you want to farm in that specific spot and there's a bunch of low-level people farming that spot, you can go in, kill all of them, and take that spot for yourself. So it's a double-edged sword, depends how you see things and depends how strong you are in-game. So con number 6 is, this is a very grindy game. It takes weeks to months to level up after level 61. You can get to level 61 in 2 days, maybe 1 day if you're going super hardcore on leveling. You can get to 61 very quickly. However, from level 61 to 62, we're talking about several weeks, and if you're a casual player, it's definitely several months. So it does take some time, and in order to level up even further beyond level 62, the grind is real. Con number 7. You must be patient while playing this game. You can pay to win, but it requires thousands and thousands of dollars in order to do so, and most people aren't willing to throw thousands and thousands of dollars into the game right off the bat. So what can you do? You just have to be very patient. Every single week you work on your character, you make money, you buy new gear, you upgrade your gear, and it's a marathon. It's a very slow and lengthy process. You don't just immediately log on and boom, you're max gear and you're ready to kick ass. It doesn't work like that. Unless, of course, you're willing to throw thousands and thousands of dollars into the game. So last but not least is con number 8. Con number 8 is mostly a solo experience. I know I mentioned it earlier in the pro section on where you have freedom to do whatever you want. However, this is also a con because it punishes you when playing with others. So let's say you came into this game with a bunch of friends and you want to play together and you want to go out and farm and kill mobs together. The game actually punishes you when you go out in a group, in a party, and you go kill mobs. The EXP you get from killing the mobs will be split among the number of players you have in your party, and thus it's less efficient and you'll level up much slower. And basically, if you do it by yourself and you play by yourself, you get more benefits than actually playing with other people or playing with your friends, which is very weird game design. However, Pearl Abyss has identified that this is a problem and has slowly been working towards it. They've released certain areas where it's like a duo farm place where you work with another friend and you party together and farm it. But at the time of this recording, most places are still better to farm solo, and there's only 2 or 3 places where you can actually farm as a party and still gain the same benefits. But yeah, that's pretty much the pros and the cons of Black Desert Online. Do I still feel like it's worth playing? Yes, because it's still a very, very fun game, but it is definitely not for everyone. Anyway, hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, I would appreciate a subscribe, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye!
What can I say except you're welcome? For the heals, the boosts, the res.